systems of how they implement Medicaid waiver programs. It's a federal program, but then it's implemented at the state level. So state to state, how things look, benefits look, how you get onto it is completely different. So we're only gonna talk about what little I know.
And you're
about
all
Texas.
looking like right up at this top are the names of them.
Okay, so is anybody in here on NDCP? Does anybody have NDCP right now? So that's a program for children that have significant health issues. It's a medically dependent child program. My child did qualify for that 12 years ago, but then they changed the requirements and he got kicked out of that program. So this is if you're like on a ventilator, tube fed, significant medical care. So lots of nursing, that type of stuff. So if you're on this, this is the adult version of that. Sorry, I've got a black finger, so I smashed my finger in the garage door. It was very painful. So I'm not coughing.
The adult version of the MDCP is what?
Star Plus.
Okay.
And so this provides a lot of nursing, and it goes and does provide some residential. And so this grid tells you what these programs, what benefits come with it, okay? We're not gonna go through all of that. You're gonna, she's gonna send out links to these websites with these documents and everything like that. But I want you to know, these are the rabbit holes you need to go down and look and study and understand, or at least to know to ask somebody more questions about, okay? So, who right now is on the wait list for HCS for their child?
And some are going to be done through Texas, the state, and some are going to be done through the county. And so,
Okay, through Metro.
He may be using different terminology than you guys are
Home and Community Services.
yeah, than you guys are used to. But you know, the list that Misty and I talk about all the
Medicaid
time,
waiver interest
every
list.
meeting, every time we congregate, we talk about you guys being on the Medicaid waiver list, making sure your child gets on that list. This is what he's talking about.
Yeah, so.
And we've helped sign a lot of you up in the meetings even, and giving you direct links to these. So you may not be recognizing the name, but there's more than one list. And I know we point that out all the time. There's more than one list.
Yeah, it's
And
class.
these are the lists he's talking about. I didn't recognize
MDCP.
or DBMD, but I knew medical.
Deaf, blind,
that-
multiple
I
disability.
knew dependently medically disabled children. I knew it was by the full term, so.
Yeah. So the list, who was on the list through their thing?
Yeah.
You all better be raising your hands.
They're on the list? Because it's a 20
If
to
not, we need
25-year
to-
list.
Yeah,
And if you're not on the list, we need to know so we can help you.
yeah,
I mean,
for
that's,
sure.
that's critical. So on the list, you have class, HCS, and Texas Home and Living, okay?
What's HCS?
Home Community
Community
Services.
Services.
And that is, these are federal guideline programs. These two are federal guidelines, class and HCS. Texas Home and Living, I don't know if that's a federal program or if that's a, do you know?
I don't know for sure.
Okay. Well, there's another chart we're gonna go to that tells about the funding about these different things, so you can tell which the value, okay?
And you can be on more than one list, right?
You can be on the multiple waiting list, but
Right.
when you come up, you have to choose one.
Right.
So you can be on multiple waiting lists because, like Jim said, they're like 20 years long. And so, say class comes up, you accept that one, then you can't participate in the other list. You can be on all the waiting lists, but just choose the one at a time.
But a caveat to that is typically most people get on class because it's a shorter list. They come up that first. They get the benefits that come with class, you know, these things. Then they come up on HCS about 3 years later. Okay, at that point, you have to make a choice.
Correct.
Because to get class again, if you choose to eliminate that, you have to re-sign up on the bottom of the list and you got that list again. If you choose to stay with class and deny getting on an HCS at that time, then you have to go to the bottom of the list of HCS, which is about a 20 to 25-year wait to re-come up on the list to make that choice again. And the big difference between HCS and class, residential services. why do we need residential services? Well, if we die, which we all will at some point, and we need a place for our child to be guaranteed to have a place to live in the community, HCS pays for that.
And that's why class is a little shorter.
HCS also pays you, if you're the guardian and you want to host the home of the child, the state will pay you as the parent to host that individual in your home and pay you money to you, tax-free. So, it's a big choice. So if you don't want to have the residential. Now, class has therapies that are very beneficial to younger children, maybe even older children, that they'll pay for that HCS will not pay for. And so if those therapies are more important to you than the lifelong residential, then that's a choice that you make, you know. So this is a choice you have to make at that time. So it's important that you get these documents. Let's go ahead and go to the,
This one? Or-
let's go to the last one.
Okay.
Since we're talking about.
Yep.
And let's go up to,
And your child.
Do you wanna do 11?
While they're
no,
transitioning,
this is the other one.
your child
Okay.
does not have to be on Medicaid in order to get on the list. Now, when the name comes up and it's time to retrieve services, they have to be on Medicaid at that time, but, you know, at 3 years old, they might not be on Medicaid yet, and that's okay, you can still get them on the list.
Right, go down to 2. Okay, so again, this is the same kind of grid. It's in a different order, of course, because they can't coordinate, so. But they have the same names, and it lists out the actual names of the acronym. Go on down. Okay, so here's the budget that we can for the annual maximum cost for each individual. So class has a $115,000 budget that they'll spend annually on their child. Their home community services has a $167,000 budget that they'll spend on all the different therapies and support that maxes out, and that includes, you know, Medicaid benefits, nursing, all that kind of stuff. You know, sometimes nursing, if you have nursing needs, that's a big chunk of money.
And I do want to point out, since it has it over here, your child will be given the level of need that they require, and they're going to be given a number, and that's going to help to determine the amount of money. So there's a LOC, level of care, level of need, and if your child has a lot of needs, if like maybe aggression or self-injurious behavior or elopement, those are the things that will be figured out and determined. And so you will need to know LOCs, level of care, LONs, level of need.
And don't ask me that formula because it's a secret
Yes.
matrix that the caseworker will come out and ask you questions based on your answers. But when you answer questions about your child, we parents are optimists and we believe in the best abilities of our child. But when you're going to get government benefits, you want to talk about the worst day of your child's existence of the last couple of years. And we know that they have those days, and we like to forget those days because we have to function. But they're hitting or putting poop on the wall, or they're doing all these crazy things that happen on not all the time, but you know, those meltdowns and those times. Those are the things that you have to answer to that person to get the benefits that they're entitled to. Because we as parents, we have a much greater tolerance because we love our children.
And if they are living in a group home in their 30s and you don't relay that information and they do start exhibiting behaviors, then that placement may no longer be appropriate. So you need it to be well matched. And so if the level of care is a 7, and that's to make sure that they're not running, and the group home is next to a highway and they run into the highway, you needed to, if it's only happened once, you need to say it, because then that facility needs to be prepared, and you want that facility to be prepared. So you need to be very brutally honest so that the places that are caring for your child have what they need.
Okay, so this document is about,
It's
it's about 30 pages. long.
33 pages long.
Yeah,
Yes.
So every little detail, it has a grid, okay? So we're not gonna go through all these right now, but you're gonna get this document, the website, and you can go through this or bookmark it for when it's appropriate, okay?
And then this
And go
one.
into the explanation of
Is it this?
ID services.
Yeah.
So this document kind of puts everything in English of all the things we're talking about. And so instead of having a little grid of things, this kind of has the explanation of that. So my son Freddie, he is in the Home and Community-Based Services program. He is in HCS. So we have an HCS provider. So you have to select somebody to manage that. Then you could choose to do Consumer Directive Services, CDS. That means you hire and fire and do all that stuff, and you have agencies to do the payroll kind of stuff. I would say going through all the systems when they're under 18, that's a good way of doing things because you get the biggest bang of buck for the payment of your service providers because you're doing the managing of it as opposed to another agency. It's not really easy to find people to hire and fire, that type of stuff, but you have more control and you have a bigger budget. When they turn over 18, I learned that it's better to have an agency to do that because you're not gonna get those related services if you want to be the home host. So you have to figure out where do you want to flow the money, because as a home host, I get so much money and then I can just pay out of that money for a respite care or for different needs. But if you have a huge need for private duty nursing, that type of thing, then that answer may be different. You know, so it depends on your individual situation, which direction you go. It's a whole lot less work if you have the agency do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they come out annually to do a service plan. So you get ARDs now, you'll have a service plan for the rest of your life, you know, so. And it's, I have my son Freddie, he participates in all these service plans because these are services affecting him. And so there's certain amount of budgets for, you know, dentistry, which Medicaid doesn't pay for after you get age 18. After age 18, Medicaid will not pay for dentistry anymore. So then you have to have a different program, private insurance or whatever. It's very complicated. And it's very, you have to be aware of a lot of different systems, a lot of how things work together. It's good to have partners that help manage some of this, and that's something that his company does, is manage some of these other parts to train you, to give you information, stuff like that. So encourage you to use your, you know, if you have the ability to help you with this transition piece till you get to the point where you're comfortable, or it's worthwhile to have those experts to help you long term. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows what their own resources are to do those things.
But this is really helpful. It kind of just gives a little
That's very good.
summary. And then I just wanted to say on our website, we have something that's just dedicated to the Medicaid waiver interest list. That's just COPEL. And so this is, I created it. It kind of breaks down HCS, Texas Home Lending, ICF is through your county. If you're in Dallas County, it tells you who to email, what to email. And then if you're looking for the big state of Texas, then that's going to be your class, your MDCP, your DBMD, so many acronyms. And then this, it's a phone number. You call this person, you're going to give them your child's social, date of birth, address, phone number. They're going to ask you questions. To Jim's point, when they ask you questions about your child's level of functioning, you need to not pick the best day. You need to pick the day that's challenged, because that's going to come up in life, and that's what they need to know. So it's going to be a lot. Are they ambulatory? That means, can they walk around by themselves? If we dropped your child at the park, how are they going to handle that? You need to explain that experience. If we go to the grocery store and we're not together, what does that look like? If, can they shower totally independently with another child, neurotypical child that same age? Do they need any support? If that support is, it's time to take a shower, and they're 18, that's not typical. You are giving support. So it's just really good to be very clear when they're on the phone and giving that initial information. We also have lots of little videos that I have stolen from Jim about Navigate Life Texas, and we've put things that really give this woman right here the purpose of the Medicaid waivers. She gives a really short, this is why you need to get on it, just like these gentlemen have said today. Today's the day. If you're not on it today, today's the day to get on it. This is all linked to Health and Human Services, and then I have little just waiver list information